Greetings, my name is Gloria Rendon, Deputy Superintendent for United Independent School District. It is our goal that every employee of the school district receive the same training across the district so that all practices, safety protocols are in place and that everyone is receiving the same message. We will begin. United ISD Safety and Security Measures, our presentation for the 22-23 school year. We start off with our theme. School safety is everyone's responsibility, and it starts with you. And this is the ongoing theme that we will continue to have throughout the course of the school year. It is everyone's responsibility, from our employees, our parents, our students, and our community members. School safety is everyone's responsibility. We have a few dedications and acknowledgements that we would like to recognize right now. And at this time, I would like for all of us to take a moment of silence in memory of the individuals who perished in Uvalde, Texas on May 24th. Thank you. We'd like to give special thanks to the following entities for assisting us in providing this information to you all. We begin with our framework, and our framework is very, very simple. There are 5 components, 5 themes of campus safety, and that is prevention, mitigation, preparedness, response, and recovery. And this is a cycle that goes on throughout any type of event that occurs at a school setting. It can be a fire drill, it could be a gas leak, it could be a fight in your campus hall. We try to prepare as much as possible to prevent all of the activities that we just mentioned. We also try to mitigate, and we prepare our plan of actions for that. And then we have a plan of action as to how to respond to these activities or events. And then we also have a plan of action in the event that we have to recover any of those type of situations. We continue. Our framework involves our police, physical security and technology, a collaborative safety and security culture. We start with behavioral threat assessments, counseling, suicide awareness, and risk management, which are our SEL components, emergency management, and they are all tied together in this type of framework of prevention, mitigation, preparedness, response, and recovery. Again, showing that it takes a whole community effort, a whole school community effort to mitigate, prevent any type of event at any campus. We look at empowerment. And so we ask our campus administrators and we ask our employees, during a moment of duress, all staff should have the means to call any standard response protocol in an effort to warn others. How is this done? We use our public address system in the front office. We use our IP phone systems. We use radio. We use Navigate. And so my task at this time is, have you empowered staff members at your campus? Let's take a moment and pause and discuss. So at this point, now we'll begin with situational awareness. Situational awareness is being aware of what is happening around you in terms of where you are, where you're supposed to be, and whether anyone or anything around you may be a threat to your well-being or to others. Let's have a little activity. I want everyone to close your eyes. Do you know how to get to your exits? What was I wearing? Describe me. These are important key elements. Where would you go to in the event that somebody came into this situation, this room right now, with a weapon? What would you do? So situational awareness is not just in your classroom settings, not just in your school settings. It's anywhere that you are at, whether it be a grocery store, a concert. Look at your surroundings and have a plan of action. Prepare for any type of a situation. We continue with situational awareness, and this is recognition, being alerted to something out of the ordinary that could pose a threat. You assess, analyze the situation and your response options, which is what I've asked you to do. And then you respond. You take direct action to increase the chance of diffusing the threat that is going to hurt you or is going to hurt others. And this is your task again. Close your eyes, describe the room. What is your exit plan? Give as much detail as you possibly can. And let's take a moment to discuss. We continue with our presentation, and this is the area of accountability. All staff and students must be held accountable for safety actions. We go back to our theme. School safety, student safety, employee safety is everyone's responsibility. How? We can submit complaints, requests, concerns, etc. about safety and security items using the new District Safety and Security Reporting Survey tool located on our website. You can email us at the district level as well. Okay, Luis, here I have to show the COVID protocols. So I would have to click on that link.
Okay. Oh, I'm not connected to the internet, but I'll click on it and I'll kind of follow your
Okay. So we discuss our COVID protocols before moving on to our other safety protocols. And our COVID protocols are basically the same as what we closed off in last year. Our COVID protocols that if you are sick, we do not report to work. If students are sick, they do not come to school. And for 24 hours without fever, reducing medication. In the event that they are COVID positive, please report to your campus nurse, your campus administration. There is a form that parents and students can complete, and we will continue to process remote conferencing for our students. And that is a practice that we will continue to have. Our employees, our students who are COVID positive must be out for 5 days. They will return on day 6. These are for individuals who are COVID positive. For those individuals who are COVID exposed to somebody with COVID, then these individuals, if you are vaccinated, if you are showing symptoms, you look at those symptoms, and we talk to our school nurses once again. And for our employees and students who are not vaccinated, the criteria is the same, that they must be out in quarantine for up to 6 days. All right, that has not changed. That is in our COVID-19 protocols found on our UISD main webpage. So let's talk a little bit about school lockdowns and student safety. We'll talk about Miss Jacqueline, and we've got the opportunity to meet her at a school safety summer, sessions that we had in San Marcos earlier this school year. And she addressed the individuals in the audience about school lockdowns. Very, very interesting, very fascinating individual. She has held security audits, and it was just refreshing to hear that what we are implementing in our school systems is the safest means for our students and for our employees. So we will continue with that. She did have some information with regards to the trauma in Uvalde Independent School District.
Well, support for survivors and victims is pouring in across the nation as the investigation into a possible motive intensifies. Jacqueline Schulkrot joins me now with more on all of this. She's an associate professor of criminal justice at the State University of York Oswego. She's also a researcher analyzing mass shootings across the country. Thank you so much for joining us. You know, it's heartbreaking to say that there are enough mass shootings now that you can analyze them and come up with themes and similarities. You have worked with communities across who have been affected by tragedies like this in the past. From your previous experience, what are their most critical needs at this point in time?
Right now, the most critical need is ensuring that all of these families know the whereabouts of their loved ones, and whatever the outcome may be, you know, that reunification and notification process, especially with a scene that is, you know, so vast and so many people impacted, is really the main priority. And then it's just ensuring that we get crisis mental health response in there immediately, really ensuring that the supports are available if and when people are ready to take advantage of them.
You know, you've said that the impact of a mass shooting like this resembles an earthquake in a community, shaking those in the center, but impacting sort of outwards. We've seen the nation rally time and time again, yet there is still no big change in legislation. How does that cycle impact survivors of a tragedy like this to sort of live through a tragedy and then to see nothing change afterwards?
You know, it's certainly not easy when we look at individuals who have lost their loved ones in very violent ways, with students and teachers and others, of course, outside of schools, who are seeing things in their lives that they should never have to see. And to witness this endless cycle of inaction is incredibly difficult. It, serves to sort of diminish their trauma and suggest that it's, we're not making any progress. So what did they go through all of this for?
I think as a member of the media, sometimes I wrestle with the coverage. Obviously, it was sort of nonstop yesterday. And you've written about the responsibility that the media has in times like this. How does the news cycle impact communities?
Absolutely. Certainly, obviously, there's a lot of intensive coverage right now, both from the media and from the public on this community. And a lot of survivors have really sort of likened this to grieving in a fishbowl. It's very intensive. There's cameras everywhere, microphones everywhere, people everywhere, at the scene, at reunification centers, at memorials that will pop up. And eventually, everybody sort of moves on, but this community doesn't get to. And, while there's intensive coverage right now that may make them feel like they're in this fishbowl, the sort of sudden loss of that coverage can also make them feel very left behind.
And when you've looked at these communities after the media coverage is done and over with, after the fundraisers are done and over with, does the support remain? I was reading about how few child psychologists and psychiatrists there are in schools and social workers. Does the support dwindle with the attention?
It's really all going to depend on the resources that the community has. Certainly national attention moves on, but this community doesn't get to move on. They don't get to go back to normal. They now have to figure out how to exist in that new normal. And so a community such as this is really going to turn inwards on those existing tight-knit, ties to one another, and they'll figure out a way to provide the support for each other in the absence of that national attention.
Jacqueline, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So let's summarize what Dr. Jacqueline actually expressed to us. What do we know? Locks light out of sight, assessing students' perceptions of emergency preparedness across multiple lockdown drills. And this was published in the 2020 Journal of School Violence. And look at the highlighted portion there where it says perceptions differed based on demographics and school type. Male students express feeling safer and more prepared compared to female students. Students attending middle and high schools were less likely to express feeling safe and prepared compared to students attending the combined pre-kinder to eighth grade schools. And basically what they were asking our students is there some anxiety? Are we causing students to feel more anxious because of having lockdown drills in our campuses? And there is our response. We also look at reading, writing, responding educators' perceptions of safety, preparedness, and lockdown drills. And look at the last bullet again. Staff perceptions improve for all 5 scenarios after receiving training and the second drill. Staff often did not participate in the drills prior to training, so the training may have helped to inform them about appropriate protocols for the practices they were not actively engaged in. And so everyone has to be engaged in our standard response protocols. So if you hear the fire drill, fire alarm, we evacuate, we move on what we have been taught today and what we have been taught in the past. So what do we know to be continued? State anxiety prior to, after participating in lockdown drills among students in a rural high school. Students who completed the inventory after the drill reported greater well-being, feeling calm, relaxed, and content as compared to those prior to the drill. So there's a little bit of anxiety before, and then once we complete the drill, everybody kind of knows what to do. And this is creating muscle memory, not only in our students, but also in our staff members, so everybody can react immediately without panicking and without freezing. We continue, ready to respond. Look at that highlighted item, that first bullet. Improvement was found during lockdown drills in rooms getting their lights off, occupants out of sight, not being able to be seen or heard from the hallway, and not responding to door knocks after training was provided for both the full sample and disaggregated by building type elementary, middle, combined, and high school. No significant changes to the proportion of locked doors, which were already high across either level of analysis. So that everybody's complying, muscle memory, we respond. We found out that the more often we do it, the better we get in a timely manner. Continued. Students who perceive themselves to be more prepared to respond to emergencies also express less perceived fear of harm and use of avoidance behavior, but higher perceived risk that a school shooting could happen. So that was a negative in that sense. So the main takeaways from this study is that it is best practice to practice those drills, have a standard response protocol, and have, of course, the students have a sense of preparedness, our employees as well. We continue with our emergency operations plan. We do have a multi-hazard emergency operation plan that was developed in collaboration with district and community stakeholders. We meet on a regular basis to review our protocols and our plans of action. This is about a 600-page document that covers every type of scenario on how to prevent, mitigate, respond, how do we recover, and how do we prepare for any type of situation. When there is a situation that we may not have in this manual, we go ahead and it's a living document, and we add that incident into our manual. In addition, the plan educates staff, faculty, students, and other key stakeholders about their roles and responsibilities before, during, and after an incident. It also provides parents and other members of the community with assurances that the district has established guidelines and guidance to respond to incidents or hazards in an effective and efficient way, and that we're standard across our district. We look at school district emergency declarations and who has the authority to do so, and that is our superintendent with, of course, our board of trustees who often support the recommendations of the superintendent with regards to emergency declarations. A perfect example of this was when we had our no water on our campuses, our no water issues that we dealt with, or freezing temperatures in the latter part of January, early February. We talked a little bit about incident commander. An incident commander is responsible for directing the emergency response and managing the resources of the incident scene. For a non-law enforcement issue, the IC will be the campus administrator at the campus at the time of the incident. It could be the principal, the assistant principal, and sometimes there's another list of individuals because those two individuals may not be on campus. So there's a list of hierarchy as to who will be in charge in the absence of the principal or the assistant principal, and that is important. When it is a situation involving law enforcement, the IC can be interchanged to an individual with higher authority depending on the type of situation. For criminal intent situations, the IC will always be the first law enforcement officer on the scene. Standard practice in law enforcement allows for the possibility to relinquish the responsibility of an IC to an agency or individual who has additional resources beyond those of the district. And when would this, let me give you an example of something like this as to when it could happen. Our UISD police officers or our UISD police department does not have a SWAT team. So in the event that we would need to have a SWAT team come into one of our schools, we would relinquish, not completely, because we would relinquish the authority to another agency who may have that type of a SWAT team. And so we work in collaboration with them because we do not completely relinquish and step out of the building. We know our facilities, we know our buildings, we know where things are, we know where our camera access points are, where our keys are, and so we would not relinquish, fully relinquish. We will work in collaboration with the entity who is going to be having those resources beyond our district. For events, again, in which a scene is developing or manageable without the use of law enforcement, the IC will be the campus principal or other authorized individual from the CERT team, which is your campus emergency response team, or the district emergency response team member. Every campus also has a Site Safety Compliance Officer, or an SSCO, and this is usually an assistant principal at the campus level. They act as a direct contact between the IC and the emergency responders. The SSCO also serves as backup to the principal. Each campus, as I mentioned before, has an SSCO, and monthly meetings are held to review safety protocols. These individuals are charged with the safety components at each site, not just school safety with regards to terroristic threat, active shooter, but they involve all facets of safety, from electrical to doorknobs, door locks, and everything else that may need to be addressed. Your CERT teams are comprised, or could be comprised, of assistant principals, counselors, of course your SSCO, head custodians, police and security personnel, your nurse, your lead teachers, and we always tell our campus administrators, have backups to the backups to the backups. Do you know who your CERT team members are on each campus and their responsibilities? Let's review. The CERT team members, under the leadership of the principal or the SSCO, are responsible for the following: implement district emergency operations and recovery plans for school and building needs, establish a systematic approach for identifying, referring, and intervening with students identified as at risk for suicide or destructive behaviors, providing assistance to staff to procedures and training to fulfill designated roles, including conducting drills, provide information to students, staff, and community on crisis management and referral procedures, define clear emergency response roles for all school and building staff, ensure that students in portable classrooms are accommodated based on circumstances, and ensure that students with special needs or in special needs classrooms are supported as needed in each circumstance. Then we have the DIRT, or the District Emergency Response Team. These individuals provide district-wide support and is comprised of key staff, community, as well as representatives from local law enforcement and emergency response agencies. The DIRT's permanent employees are your superintendent, chief of police, deputy superintendent, associate and assistant superintendents, chief financial officer, executive directors and directors, safety and crisis managers, safety specialists, and communication staff. The duties and responsibilities of the DIRT team member are to respond to incidents that affect district sites, support the campus emergency response team members in the event of critical incidents, serve as a lead DIRT in catastrophic events, operate communications command center, handle mass communications and media, organize volunteers and donations, serve as a liaison with other agencies and intervention teams, and head reunification efforts if the situation calls for it. And more about reunification later on in this presentation. The order of succession. One of the fundamental principles of continuity planning is to maintain leadership in the event of an emergency by establishing an order of succession in the event the district, department, or campus leaders are not available. And we've already discussed this. We ask that campus administrators name additional staff members in the event that they are not able to be present when a situation may arise. We call it the backup to the backup to the backup. And everybody should know those individual roles. We move into standard response protocols. UISD uses a standard response protocol, or SRP, as part of its emergency operations plan. The SRP is based not on individual scenarios, but on the response to any given situation or scenario. The SRP is based not on individual scenarios, but on the response to any given scenario. SRP demands a specific vocabulary, but also allows for greater flexibility. The premise is simple. There are 5 specific actions that can be performed during an incident. When communicating these actions, each is followed by a directive. Hold, secure, lockdown, evacuate, and shelter.
Hello, my name is David H. Gonzalez, Superintendent of Schools. United ISD's #1 priority is providing meaningful learning experiences that will empower students to thrive in the 21st century. To accomplish this, we prioritize the safety and security of all students, staff, parents, and members of our UISD community. Our employees and students participate in numerous emergency drills because we want everyone to be prepared in the event of an emergency. Safety is a shared responsibility. It takes everyone to practice scenarios in an effort to respond to situations with swift and life-saving measures.
Greetings. My name is Gloria Rendon, Deputy Superintendent for United Independent School District. The United Independent School District uses the standard response protocols created by the I Love You Guys Foundation as part of their Emergency Operations Plan. The Emergency Operations Plan is designed to establish procedures to crisis using the standard response protocol. Crises can range from threats and hazards such as severe weather or wildfires, adversarial, incidental, and human-caused threats or hazards such as active shooters or irate visitors on campus. They can also be unusual, for example, an airplane crash or cyber attack. The Standard Response Protocol, or SRP, consists of hold, secure, lock down, evacuate, and shelter.
To continue the SRP model, at United ISD, it is important to know that all classrooms, offices, public areas, such as cafeterias or hallways, display the SRP poster. If you see a high-traffic area or a classroom without an SRP poster, or if more posters are required, please contact your campus site safety compliance officer or email safety@uisd.net. You could also visit www.uisd.net/keepuisdsafe and submit a safety survey. Before we go over the protocols, it is important that all stakeholders are made aware of the importance of being empowered to call an SRP protocol. In addition, it's important to have situational awareness to allow you to respond in a moment of crisis. The United ISD Emergency Operations Plan establishes 3 principles for school safety during a crisis: establishing the Incident Command System, District Emergency Response Team, and Campus Emergency Response Team in an effort to establish hierarchy of authority and denote responsibilities during an emergency. The incident commander has the responsibility of managing the incident by establishing objectives, planning strategies, and implementing actions associated with the standard response protocols. The incident commander can be interchanged with an individual with higher authority depending on the type of situation. Note that for criminal intent situations, the incident commander will always be the first law enforcement officer on scene. Standard practice in law enforcement allows for the possibility to relinquish the responsibility of incident commander to an agency who has additional resources beyond United ISD's jurisdiction. For events in which the scene is developing or manageable without the use of law enforcement, and the incident commander will be the campus principal or other authorized individual from the Campus Emergency Response Team or the District Emergency Response Team. Your campus also encompasses a dedicated team of individuals who hold the responsibility of school safety procedures and operations at the time of need and throughout their career, appointed by your campus administrator. They're known as members of the CERT or Campus Emergency Response Team. They include, but are not limited to, assistant principals, school counselors, school nurse, front office staff, teacher leads, librarians, campus police or security guards, cafeteria and custodial staff. They can be identified as part of the CERT by looking at their employee ID badge. A neon pink identifier on their employee badge will illustrate their identification in the CERT. The CERT team, under the leadership of the principal, is responsible for the following: implement district emergency operations and recovery plan for the school or building needs. Establish a systematic approach for identifying, referring, and intervening with students identified as at risk for suicide or destructive behaviors. Orienting staff to procedures and providing training to fulfill designated roles, including conducting drills. Provide information to students, staff, and community on crisis management referral procedures. Define clear emergency response roles for all schools and building staff. Ensure that students in portable classrooms are accommodated depending on circumstances. Ensure students with special needs and in/or special needs classrooms are supported as needed in each circumstance. While campus or department emergency response teams are best equipped to anticipate and handle emergencies at their particular location, significant situations don't occur in a vacuum and affect us throughout the district and the community. The District Emergency Response Team, or DIRT, provides valuable district-wide support and is composed of key staff, community, as well as representatives from local law enforcement and emergency response agencies. DIRT will meet with the Office of the Superintendent and the School Safety and Security Committee periodically throughout the year, and as needed during a crisis. The District Emergency Response Team's permanent employees are The goals of the District Emergency Response Team are to forge community relationships before a crisis occurs, serve as a sounding board and planning review committee, provide assistance with planning, coordination, and training, help clarify the division of duties in a crisis, help foster community dialogue about safety. The role of the District Emergency Response Team is to respond to incidents that affect district sites, support CERTs in the event of a critical incident, serve as lead DIRT in a catastrophic event, operate communication and command center, handle mass communication and media, organize volunteers and donations, serve as a liaison with other agencies and intervention teams. Responsibilities of the District Emergency Response Team: initiate District Standard Response Protocol, also known as SRP. Define clear crisis roles for central office and auxiliary staff. Train, assist, and planning in school and building CERTs. Lead efforts to identify both internal and external hazards that may require protective actions. Make policy and procedures recommendations. Be on call for all crises, district and building. Establish and communicate school-safe conditions and safety precautions and procedures. Develop and provide regular crisis management and multi-hazard training for district and school personnel through CERTs. Evaluate crisis response actions and coordinate debriefing sessions. Mitigate incident recovery efforts. All staff in a moment of duress should use SRP to warn others. As staff members, we should all know how this should be done and where. Do you? For example, the campus custodian should be able to make an all call using the standard method of creating public announcements. At United ISD, this is done by dialing a special number and a code into the IP phone system located in every classroom and office within the building. Your campus site compliance officer is to go over the protocols and how-tos of using the public address system prior to the start of the school year with the staff. Review your protocols here. The district also uses Navigate Prepared, an emergency management system that allows access to all campus members to call standard response protocols via the Navigate Prepared mobile application or via Google Chrome. Training on the Navigate Prepared application should be received prior to the start of the school year. Another form of empowerment is to act upon your gut instinct. If you feel something is not right, question it. Say and do something. Tell your supervisor, teacher, or campus police to address your concerns. Situational awareness is being aware of what is happening around you in terms of where you are, where you're supposed to be, and whether anyone or anything around you may be a threat to your well-being or to others. Situational awareness in education means being aware of who and what is on school grounds. Most threats are man-made, so schools should always know who is on campus, from students and employees to vendors and visitors, and be able to identify anyone who's not supposed to be there or is behaving in a way that raises an internal alarm. For example, displaying an angry or intense demeanor or wearing heavy clothing that is inappropriate for the weather. Suspicious objects, such as unattended bags or unidentified vehicles that do not seem to belong, should also be assessed as potential threats. An important lesson of situational awareness training is to take these notifications of danger seriously so you can make the best decision for responding should a threat become a reality. Situational awareness is a three-step process, and these are the essential actions. Recognition, being alerted to something out of the ordinary that could pose a threat. Assessment, analyzing the situation and your response options. Response, taking direct action to increase the chance of diffusing the threat. Let's practice. Do you know how many exits there are in your room right now? What will be the exit you will use? Where is the north? How many windows are there? Take time to know as much as you can about your surroundings to be prepared.
So let's continue. What consists of the Standard Response Protocol? The United Independent School District's Emergency Operations Plan defines the Standard Response Protocol as hold, secure, lockdown, evacuate, and shelter. The key to the Standard Response Protocol is that there is a simple, universal shared language between staff, parents, students, and first responders. And when used, everyone involved shares the same expectations. It is important that everyone be on the same page. So if something happens in one of our schools, first responders know how we are responding and be better equipped to assist us. We know this works because teachers and staff are given the same training. The same language is shared with students, so students know what to do. It's also important that our parents know our protocols. SRP is based on 5 actions that we take during an incident or an emergency: hold, secure, lock down, evacuate, and shelter. Each action is followed by a directive. Every action then has a specific instruction of what to do in an emergency. When these are called on the PA, through Navigate, or through the phone intercom system, the action and directive are repeated. For example, hold in your classroom. Hold in your classroom.
Let's start with the message. The message should be, hold in your classroom. Hold in your classroom. It is used when we need to keep the corridors and hallways clear of students. It might be a medical emergency or a hazmat spill in the hallways, or something else that needs a cleanup. A hold may be localized to one area of the school, or it could be for the entire school. Student instructions. Here's what students should do. If you're in the hallway, go to your assigned classroom. Otherwise, students and teachers remain in their classrooms until the all clear is announced. Teacher instructions. Teachers, here's what you do. Remain in the classroom with your students until the all clear is announced. Teachers should also close and lock the door. It can also be opened for any students that needs to get out of the hallway. Students should also verify that everyone is still in class, either through Navigate or Red Bag information. It's a good idea to note the time that the attendance was taken. Continue the normal activities in the classroom. Discussion. What about class changes? You will remain in your class even if the bell rings. If you're in the hallway, an announcement might be made to go to the nearest classroom or proceed to your next scheduled class. Is this a lockdown? No. We'll talk about lockdown in a bit. With the whole protocol, we don't want what's happening in the hallway to spill into the classroom. Students remain in their seats, continue lessons, or if lessons are done, students may be given time to read or study. The next SRP protocol is secure. The message heard will be secure, get inside, lock outside doors. Secure, get inside, lock outside doors. Why? This means there is a threat outside of the building. There might be criminal activity, or civil unrest, or a dangerous animal outside. If there are exterior doors leading to classrooms, make sure they're closed and locked. Teachers may also be asked to check if nearby exterior doors are locked. Almost always, it's business as usual in the building. Student instructions. Let's start with student instructions on what to do in a secure protocol. The first one is simple. Get in the building. For the most part, it's business as usual inside the building. If the secure protocol lasts into recess or lunch, no one comes in or goes out. No visitors. So we're staying in the building. Same thing is true at the end of the school day. Depending on what's going on, we may have to stay in the building, or students that walk home may have to call their parents to be picked up. Business as usual inside the school building. Let's look at what a teacher should be doing during the secure protocol. Teacher instructions. Bring everyone inside. But that brings up a question about notification when students or staff are outside. How are they notified? Radio system, PA system, phone intercom system? Make sure the staff knows what you'll use in your school. If there are exterior doors in the classroom, make sure they're locked. Teachers may also be asked to check if nearby exterior doors are locked. Teachers should also verify that everyone is still in class through Navigate or Red Bag information. It's a good idea to note what time attendance was taken. Almost always, it's business as usual inside the building. There is a life cycle during secure. Staff will lock all outside doors, and initially, no one is allowed in or out. Secure can evolve into a controlled release. Depending on the incident, it can eventually be safe to release the students to parents. We call that a controlled release. Or secure can evolve into a monitored entry. Depending on the incident, it might be safe to monitor who is allowed to enter the school building.
The third SRP is lockdown. Keep in mind that a lockdown protocol is more serious. The message you will hear is lockdown, locks, light, out of sight. Lockdown, locks, light, out of sight. Why would a lockdown protocol be initiated? A lockdown is used when there is a threat inside the school building. There may be a report of a weapon on campus or something worse. There could be an armed intruder or some other threat inside the building. I would like to introduce to everyone the concept of establishing time barriers. It has been proven in numerous studies that a locked classroom door is a proven time barrier. The U.S. Department of Justice has studied these events. 70% of violent incidents are over in 5 minutes, while 90% are over within the first 10 minutes. In 2015, the Sandy Hook Commission released their summary report, which found that the #1 environmental design recommendation for safety was the ability to lock the classroom door from inside the classroom. Everyone should have the ability to lock a classroom or office door. The Commission found 0 cases of a gunman breaching a locked classroom door. 0. At United ISD, the standards of safe practices state that all classroom doors are locked. All classroom doors within the school building and in portables must be locked. The slide magnet must be in place over the strike plate to allow anyone in the classroom to quickly lock and secure the classroom. If your door does not have a magnetic strip or does not properly work, contact your campus site safety compliance officer. Let's review what students should do during a lockdown protocol. So students will hear the following. Lockdown, locks, lights, out of sight. Lockdown, locks, lights, out of sight. If students are in a classroom, the first thing is to stay out of sight from the classroom door window. How does one know you're out of sight? If you cannot see out the door hall window, then no one in the hall can see you. Second, sit on the floor in the area indicated as the visual blind spot and get low. Lay flat if possible. Look for the tape indicator on the floor, which will run diagonally out of the line of sight in a classroom. The indicator, a black and yellow tape on the floor, serves the purpose of indicating the start and the end of the blind spot from a door window. Students and staff are to stay in the blind spot area or find an alternative hiding spot. Once out of sight, be absolutely silent. Turn your phone to silent mode in the initial stages of a lockdown. If there is an actual lockdown, you'll get a chance to communicate with others later. Do not open the door for anyone. Administrators or law enforcement will unlock the door and release the individuals in the room. If someone identifies themselves as law enforcement and asks that the door be opened, do not open the door. What if there is no teacher or adult where you are? Get behind a locked door as soon as possible, or if the threat is not in your immediate vicinity, evacuate the area. What if a student is in a hallway when a lockdown is called? Get to a classroom, any classroom, office area. Just move out of the hallway as quickly as you can and follow the lockdown protocols. If classrooms are already locked, then find a place to hide. Do not go from classroom to classroom. Evacuating the area may be another option. Two final messages here. Should the fire alarm go off during a lockdown, do not evacuate. Wait for an announcement. Second, once law enforcement administration opens the door, do not hold up your cell phones upon their entry. Remember that law enforcement may have just been involved in a serious incident and they are walking into a dark classroom. Flashing a phone or taking pics with flash or no flash should not be the priority, and we do not want to have them mistake a cell phone for a weapon. Let's look at what teachers should do during a lockdown protocol. When you hear lockdown, locks, light, out of sight, depending on what you see and hear, you may want to view the hallway area for other students. If the threat is close to your classroom, focus on getting the door locked and closed as quickly as possible. A locked classroom door is a proven lifesaver. Turn off the lights and move students to the designated blind spot area. Be silent and make all attempts to maintain student silence. Silence your phone as well. The next question is, should the door window be covered? A teacher should determine if all students can safely be placed in the blind spot area. Remember, this is a line of sight determined from standing as close as possible to the door window in the hall and indicating the blind spot area. If teachers can determine that all students do not fit in this area, then covering your window is the best practice. Create a way to cover your window in a form that is quick and efficient. Law enforcement agencies are recommending that no messages are slipped under classroom doors into hallways. With regards to classroom window blinds that overlook outside, the district recommends that they be left as is. It is more important to stay out of the line of vision from the hallway and to stay low. A lockdown may be ended with a PA announcement, a phone intercom announcement, or when administration or police open the door and have a controlled release of the room or school. If you can, teachers, take attendance. Note if you have missing students or extra students that have taken shelter from the hall in your class. Note the time. You probably won't need to do anything with this roster at this point, but a record of accountability is being created and may be useful over the entire course of the event. If available and appropriate, use Navigate Prepared to do this. During a drill, this should always be done. If you have not been trained on Navigate Prepared or do not have access, visit your campus site safety compliance officer. A few other instructions with regards to lockdown protocols. If a group or class is outdoors and a lockdown protocol is called, do not go back into the building. Rather, go to a safe location. If you can, notify someone at the school of your location. If the fire alarm is activated during a lockdown, stay in the classroom unless you see fire or if smoke is filling your classroom. If you must evacuate due to fire or smoke, the hallway may not be your best option to evacuate. Consider using an alternate door or window. In the time immediately after a lockdown is called, remain silent and silence your phone. As the event evolves, you'll be given an opportunity to use your phone to make contact with those outside of the school setting. United ISD uses an automated messaging system that will message parents and employees as soon as a lockdown is confirmed. This can usually take 5 to 10 minutes from the start of a lockdown. Thus, it is important that staff and student contact information data is up to date. Lockdown protocols have evolved throughout the years and have become multifaceted, incorporating many new techniques and best practices for staff and students to use when needed. United ISD has created a separate video focusing just on active threat and shooter situations. Review the video at www.uisd.net. The next SRP is evacuate. Evacuation is how to move students in an orderly fashion from point A to point B. In the event of a fire drill, you may hear, "Evacuate out of the building." Evacuate out of the building. With the SRP, evacuate is always followed by a location. During an evacuate situation, the message will be similar to this: evacuate to the gym. Evacuate to the gym. During an evacuation situation, students should do the following: leave your belongings behind unless instructed to bring with you. Be sure to listen for any new directions. Teachers, campus staff members, as well as students, there may be cases where students will be let out by campus staff members, and there may also be situations which will require that students be let out by law enforcement. Regardless of the situation, teachers, be sure to take student attendance through the Navigate Prepared application or through the red bag practice. Please note the time of attendance. Let's go back and review some critical components should law enforcement lead your evacuation. When it comes to evacuating the building during a lockdown or other law enforcement controlled event, a law enforcement officer or campus administrator will open the door and announce his or her name and the department or agency they represent. Law enforcement will ask staff and students to follow their instructions, such as lining up in a single file and leaving personal items behind. Law enforcement may also ask individuals to hold hands as a group is walking out. In some cases, during the evacuation process, officers will want to verify that students aren't at further risk. They may search students and staff members. Officers may utilize a combination of verbal or hand signals. As you leave the premises, follow the pace of the line. Do not stop until you reach the location you have been directed to. The teacher or staff member in your group will verify attendance again. Wait for further instructions. Do not leave your group. Once everyone reaches the final assembly area, the teacher or staff member will check attendance once again. If attendance was taken during the lockdown, verify that the same students are at the final meeting point. During an active violence event, another option is to self-evacuate. It is recommended that students and staff practice situational awareness. Be alert of surroundings and evaluate exit points. If there is an escape path, attempt to evacuate. Evacuate whether others agree to or not. Leave your belongings behind. Help others escape if possible. Prevent others from entering the area. Call 911 when you are safe. Your campus site safety compliance officer will establish sites which are deemed as safe in the case that you are to reunite after an evacuation. These sites may be different from those of a fire evacuation. They may be the school next door, a church across the street, or an area away from the campus. If you do not know where the local reunification area is, ask your teacher or campus site safety compliance officer. The final SRP is the shelter protocol. Shelter protocol is how we respond to a hazard or something dangerous. It could be environmental, like a tornado or earthquake. It might be something like a chemical spill nearby. The announcement for this might just be the hazard and may include the safety response. In either case, we repeat it. For example, tornado, get to the storm shelter area. Tornado, get to the storm shelter area. Listen for instructions. The situation may be very dynamic. Always be prepared for the unexpected. During a shelter event, teachers should try to take attendance and note the time.
The district has an extensive communication system outside of each campus site. United ISD comprises 30 elementary schools, 12 middle schools, 4 high schools, 4 ninth grade campuses, 1 6th grade campus, and 2 specialized schools, the Cherry Center and SIP Academy. All campuses have at least 1 dedicated police officer and security guards. The United ISD Police Department has a dispatch center that operates 24/7 and can be reached at 956-473-6361 for non-life-threatening emergencies. The dispatch center has access to all surveillance cameras, keyless access control systems, and permissions. Also, communication with the Laredo Police Department and Laredo Fire Department. The school district also has an automatic message system known as Parent Square, which will send out alerts advising parents of the situation. In addition, social media and district websites will keep track and post updates as they develop. When it comes to school safety and security, United ISD takes all situations seriously. Report any safety concerns to a parent, guardian, a trusted adult, campus administration, or United ISD Police Department. Remember, if you see something, say something. Everyone is reminded to avoid posting content on social media that may be considered threatening or that may be false. Reports of threats, bullying, or safety concerns can be made anonymously through the district website at www.uisd.net/keepuisdsafe or by calling Crime Stoppers 727-TIPS. School safety and security is part of United ISD's mission in providing a high-quality education. Remember to be aware of your surroundings. School safety is a shared responsibility, and it starts with you. For questions, comments, or concerns about your safety, contact your campus department's site safety compliance officer. Email safety@uisd.net or visit www.uisd.net/keepuisdsafe.
One of the new measures that we would like to discuss with our staff today is a blind spot tape. Please watch the following video.
Security breach!
At Southwestern High School in Indiana, the kids drill.
I see they're all running past this red line. What is that?
The red line is a security measure, and that's in place because if we stand behind this red line, if there's a shooter at the door, they cannot see the children.
And this is something schools can do right now. There's a red line on the ground.
Absolutely.
We would like all teachers and staff members to create a blind spot area in their classrooms. And this is a space adjacent to your door. To the extent possible, teachers should clear space adjacent to the door so that teachers and/or appropriately aged children can position themselves at that location while still in the arc of the safe zone. If you see the diagram to your left, you will notice a safe zone away from the door. This provides an area from which innocent defenders may immediately physically counter any attempt to breach the door by reaching in through a broken window. We ask all teachers to put a yellow and black piece of tape noting the safe zone for our students that is a blind spot from the doorway. In addition, we ask that when teachers move students into the blind spot area for a drill, it is best practice to place at least 2 rows of desks on the floor in front of the students. And I know that teachers are also going to ask, do we barricade the door? Do we barricade with our filing cabinet or bookshelf? If you have your bookshelf or your filing cabinet right next to the door that can easily be slid into that particular area to cover your door, then do so. We have provided all campus administrators with a script for SRP. And just remember, teachers, that every incident shall be repeated. Every command shall be repeated. The public address for hold, you will hear hold in your classroom or the gym, clear the halls, and it will be repeated. Hold in your classroom or gym or any other area that you're going to name, clear the halls, as noted in the video that you just observed. All right, so every campus will have these available readily by their PA system. And I'm hoping that these are shared also with the CERT team members and anybody else who is authorized to call any one of these events or situations. So we have them for lockdowns, we have them for evacuate, and we have them for shelter. And I will stress to our campus administrators and teachers that the moment you hear lockdown, locks, light, out of sight, lockdown, locks, light, out of sight, that is not a drill. When there is a drill or a practice for that event, for lockdown, you will hear the word drill. Our students will hear the word drill. When it is not a drill, again, I repeat, you will only hear lockdown, locks, light, out of sight, lockdown, locks, lights, out of sight. So let's practice our SRP. We ask you, which would you use in the following situations? A tornado watch. What if a student had a seizure in the bathroom? A gang fight in the hall. What if there's a hostage situation in the neighborhood? What protocol should be called? What if there's a gas leak in the school's kitchen? And what if there's a shooting on campus? The 5 actions of the SRP can work together as situations evolve. So let's discuss these as well. Can a hold become a lockdown, and why? And the answer is yes. A hold can become a lockdown as we receive additional information. So you may hear a different command. It's not that administration does not know what is going on, it's that the information is being received and we are communicating as best as we can to the shareholders at the campus. Can a lockdown called prematurely be shifted to a secure? Absolutely. Once again, the same premise holds true. Once we are receiving information that we receive may cause that shift to occur. Can a secure escalate to a lockdown? The answer is yes. And think as to why. Can a hold become an evacuate? Yes. Once again, give me some situations as to when this could occur. And again, we stress, when practicing a lockdown, should you use the word drill? Absolutely. If it is a drill, it should be noted as a drill. These are the letter-sized posters. If you need one, every classroom should have one. Hallways should have your SRP status posters displayed. This school year, we will be advising any individual who comes or is waiting to come into our schools of the following situations. So we will have the signage posted at the doors. School is secured, monitored entry, or controlled release. School is secured, no one in or out, or that there is a drill in progress and no one in or out. We continue with Navigate Prepared and SRP. United Independent School District uses the Navigate Prepared application. It is an emergency safety app designed to help schools and business staff respond safely and effectively during drills and emergencies. The various components of the app addresses different safety needs, including step-by-step emergency response procedures using the following features: real-time emergency response charts, student accountability. This is where our teachers hopefully can utilize the Navigate app to check off the students and take attendance. We have drill logs and scenarios also on our Navigate app. Let's demonstrate our Navigate application.
If you're watching this video, there's probably a pretty good chance that your district or your school building has recently adapted to using the Navigate Prepared app. Don't worry though, we got you covered with training. Let's take a look about what Respond actually does. The main development behind Respond is for student accountability. Respond will also allow staff and admins to account for students in real time during an emergency or drill via mobile device. Alert notifications are also sent to users' devices with sound and push notifications. Respond also contains a chat feature that allows all users to text during the duration of the alarm. Let's go ahead and get started with downloading the app. The app is available to both Apple and Android users. To search for the app, you'll need to go to the Apple iTunes Store or the Google Play Store. Once in the store, go ahead and look for Navigate Prepared. This will bring up the app. Once you see the app, go ahead and hit the download button. Once downloaded, go ahead and hit open. This should now open up the Navigate Prepared app, and this should bring you to the login screen. Go ahead and enter in your email address, your password, and your site ID. This is important to note, especially for iPhone users, that whenever entering in your credentials for the first time, a push notification alert will come up. Make sure that you hit allow in order to receive the push notifications as well as the sound alarms on your device. Let's look now at how to get started with setting up your account in the app. To do so, go ahead and select on My Account in the lower left-hand corner. You'll have several options here. You'll be able to change your name information if you need it. If you want to go ahead and click on the little picture icon and add a picture of yourself or take a selfie, you could do so as well. And you can change your password. We recommend going in for the first time and changing your password so that way you can guarantee that you have a secure login. You can also set a PIN number if you would like, if you have children at home that maybe play on your device, just to ensure that they won't go ahead and enable an alarm. You can also go ahead and add in your phone information. That'll update onto the site itself. Okay, now we're ready to start using the app. To get started, go ahead and select on the Respond tab. This will bring up a list of buildings that you have to choose from for initiating or selecting an alarm. I'm going to go ahead and use the middle school for today's training video. Once you select the building you belong to, this will bring up a list of options that you have for alarms. You'll notice there are 5 different types of alarms, and you also have the ability at the bottom to customize rosters if turned on by your district. Let's explore that first. The custom roster option is available to allow you to go in and customize your rosters prior to an alarm being initiated. Now keep in mind that this does have to be turned on by your district, so this may not be available. If it is available, go ahead and select on the button. Once in the roster, you'll be able to go ahead and select a class that you'd like to choose. Once that class has been chosen, you'll have a customized box that will allow you to rename that class. Go ahead and do so. You could do this to all classes, you could do it to 1 or 2, or you could do it to none. It's totally up to you, but this option is available to help you find the classes in the event of emergencies or drills. Now, once your rosters are set up, we're ready to start talking about initiating alarms. Now, bear in mind that anybody has the ability to initiate the alarm, but only your admin users will have the ability to go in and end that alarm. In the event of emergency or a drill, if you need to initiate an alarm at any time, go ahead and choose from one of the 5 following alarms. We're going to go ahead and use a fire drill for today. Go ahead and select the tab, and notice that I do have my PIN number activated, so it's going to ask me for that. However, if I did not, it would ask you if you were sure if you want to initiate alarm, then hit yes. Let's take a look at what happens once that alarm is sent. What you just saw and heard was a Navigate Prepared Respond app in action. That sound alert goes off each time an alarm is initiated. However, it is important that you have your sound notifications turned on, and you cannot have your phone or device turned on the vibrate mode. You also get a push notification that allows you to go into the app and start selecting your rosters. Let's go ahead and explore how that's done. Once the alert comes through on your phone, go ahead and select the push notification. Once doing so, you will get inside the app, and you will also have the ability to select your rosters. As a teacher, odds are that you will have a list of your classes associated with you. Let's go ahead and select Social Studies to get started and show how to bring up your classes. Once I go ahead and select that, you will see that it pulls up the roster for my class. What I will want to do now is go ahead and start accounting for my students. Before actually accounting for your students in the app, it's best to just take an active head count just to make sure everyone is there. If you know that all your students are there, the easiest thing to do in the top right-hand corner is hit the Mark All button. This will go ahead and indicate that all the students that you have in your class are accounted for. You could also go in and mark them as absent by single tapping on their name or double tapping their name to indicate them as being unaccounted for. If there's an extra additional student with you during the event of an emergency or drill, you could add that student as well. To do so, go ahead and hit the Add Student button beside where it says Mark All. This will bring up a list of unaccounted for students. You'll then want to go ahead and find that student's name, go ahead and tap on their name, and then select Yes when asked if you want to add them to the custom roster. Once they are complete and added to the roster, if you scroll down, you'll see that student's name has been added. The nice thing about that is that it'll indicate that they have been accounted for by yourself on that teacher's roster. Once you have all your students marked as accounted for, go ahead and hit the red Submit Count button in the top right-hand corner. This should go green once they are submitted. Aside from being able to choose from your own classes, you're able to choose from all the classes that are listed for the entire building. This is helpful if maybe, say for example, you have a substitute teacher with you that needs to account for their students. You could easily go to change class after you're done submitting your roster and go pull up one of the classes that that substitute is with. You just go ahead and account for the students the same way as you would before with your own class. This will indicate to the admins then that those students are safely accounted for. You also have the ability to create a custom roster of adding specific students. This feature may be especially helpful to people such as aides, librarians, maybe cooks, custodians, and admin level people. Just go ahead and create the custom roster as listed below, and then it'll allow you to add students as shown previously when doing My Classes. You would just want to go through and account for all students individually and add them to your list, and then submit your count. The last option we have to review today is the chat feature. This is located in the bottom right-hand corner of your app. To go ahead and utilize the chat feature, go ahead and select the button. This is a great way to communicate throughout the duration of a drill or an emergency without having to use a phone or walkie-talkie. To go ahead and utilize the chat, just simply select All for your chat room, or if you want to communicate directly to an administrator. Go ahead and type in a message and then hit Send. Basically, this will work just like any other chat room that you have used probably previously on the internet. That concludes the training for utilizing Respond in emergency or drill situations. If you'd like additional help or support, feel free to check out the Help section and Navigate Prepared under the Respond tab. You will find many documents there as far as troubleshooting, setup, and how-to. And always feel free to contact customer service if you have any questions or concerns regarding the app. Thank you.
There is an internal website for in-house training listed here. Let's look at scheduled drills for this school year. On August 11th and 12th of this school year, every campus will have a secure drill. Classroom doors shall be locked. So campus staff will check that all classroom doors are locked. Have a plan of action in the event that there is a substitute covering a class. Fire drills will be held within the first 10 days of school and every month thereafter as required. And then one lockdown drill per semester has been scheduled as well. United Independent School District has a universal mapping system. First responders have access to our universal mapping systems. Teachers, walk into your classrooms and see, look for your map. It shows the evacuation routes. It shows the labeling by building, by door, and every other information as noted. It has all of the exterior doors numbered, number 1 being your front entry door, and we go clockwise until we tag and label all of our doors. This is a Navigate app where our map and floor plans are listed. And this is the map I was talking to the teachers about and to all the staff members about. It is a sample of one of our campuses. Fasken Elementary, we start off with door number 1, your front door. We go clockwise, door number 2, and so forth around the perimeter of the building. And then our buildings are labeled letter A, B, C, and D, also clockwise. We have the system in place at every single one of our schools. Every map, every building, every facility is coded like this. This allows our first responders out of the district who are not our employees to know the layout of a building immediately. And we have already shared these maps with our first responders, the Laredo Police Department, our fire department, sheriff's office. They have access to our maps. We continue with SRP drills and communication to outsiders. We use multiple communication mediums such as Parent Square. This is a system that replaced School Messenger. We have two-way radios, cellular phones, Navigate Prepared, etc., to ensure that emergency communications are effective. During emergency incidents, all non-emergency communication will be restricted to these devices. In addition, the ISD Police Department has a dispatch center that is operating 24/7, 365 days out of the year, and they can be reached at 6361 for non-life-threatening emergencies. The dispatch has access to all surveillance cameras, keyless access control systems and permissions, communications with the Laredo Police Department and Laredo Fire Department and Sheriff's Office as well. So what does this mean? This means that if we need to lock all of our doors or open our doors for first responders in the event of a major situation at a school, our dispatch has access to open any of those outside doors, exterior doors at the campus level with a switch. So what is the backup? I've talked to you all about backup to the backup to the backup. When we don't have access to Navigate and teachers cannot take attendance on the app or on their computer, we ask that the red go bag is placed in their classroom. The backup plan for Navigate Prepared are the red go bags, and what do they contain? Let's take a look. They should have your emergency first aid kit. They have an SRP flip chart. And the most important thing that you can probably have in that red go bag is your student class roster, right? Navigate uploads our student classes on a daily basis. Your red go bag will not update unless you do that on a daily basis if you have new students. So we ask that at least every 3 weeks you update your rosters if you have gotten new students or add that new student to your roster. Every classroom has the basic essentials in that red go bag. But we discussed that the most important one is that student roster with the student contact information, phone numbers, parent contact information. And that is something that you take on an evacuate, you take row in the classroom, you take that bag in the event of a reunification and that we need to get out of the school building. Staff ID cards, door access cards. This is also something new this year. We're asking all our employees we are asking that all employees review these procedures and sign off on these procedures. Again, we go back to saying campus safety is everyone's responsibility. And so we require all staff members to wear your district assigned current year ID badge. Every year our badge change. And so this is the current year badge. The photo ID must be prominently displayed above the waist on the outermost garment of the employee's person. It is to be worn in a manner that the name, title, photo, and department are easily read, not flipped like this. It should be worn like this. Lost ID badges must be reported immediately to site supervisor. Employees should also have on their person your door access card. This can be attached to your lanyard, to your clip, but they should be together as well. And if lost access cards, they should also be reported immediately to the site supervisor so that we can suspend the door access, limiting that card. Okay. Some employees will also be issued a specialized badge, such as a badge buddy with either cert or reunification. We are in the process of having those printed. My badge buddy will have reunification. Some of you on campus will have the CERT team badge. And those are individuals, those are the go-to people at the campus level for emergency response. As far as visitor procedures, everyone in the school building should either be wearing a district-issued ID or a visitor sticker. No exceptions. And this has to be monitored by everyone on the campus. We have to say no ID, no entry. And we have to stick to that. And that is for the safety of everyone on the campus. All employees should ensure that anyone walking into the school halls or in the school classrooms general area has an ID or visitor pass. Staff members should report visitors who are on campus without proper ID to campus police or administration. So teachers, staff members, if you are walking in the building and you see me walking around without an ID and you don't know who I am, and even if you know who I am, or you know who it is at your campus level, call your front office, report that individual in the hallway that is walking around without an ID or a visitor pass. Your police and security should come on over, escort the individual off the premises, or ask them to go get their ID. Staff members, anybody who is covering the security area at the front office prior to entering the security stations, please train your staff members on what is allowed, what type of ID can they bring in so that they can get a visitor pass. Visitors must present the photo ID to obtain that visitor badge generated through our Raptor system. And visitors also are required to wear visible, dated ID. And number 5, visitors' badges must show the destination of where they are visiting. And bottom line, at the end, should anybody be working the security station at the front of the school, at the entrance of the school? When that visitor leaves, it is important to pick up that visitor sticker and dispose of it or collect them in a binder or a notebook so that we know who came into your facility and that they don't walk out and come back with it the following day. That is important to do. And staff members, those of you who are working that security station, when that person buzzes the front door, ask for the for the ID prior to you buzzing them in. That is important. You need to find out what their business is. If they do not have their ID, it's better to ask them to return to their car before they walk into the building than after. All right? No ID, no entry. We looked at Raptor. Raptor is a visitor management system that enhances school security by reading a visitor's driver's license or other approved government-issued ID, comparing information against a sex offender database to alert school administrators and district police if an offender is found. There are procedures in place for our admin and our police officers to follow when we receive information that someone is coming into our campus who is a sex offender. We again review the Raptor procedures. The system prints visitor badges that include the visitor's name, photo, date, and destination within the campus. Those badges enable personnel within the building to quickly determine if visitors are in areas where they should or should not be. And so we ask that we train staff. Best practices is that if someone is coming in to visit coach, someone is coming to visit the librarian, then get your Raptor, get their visitor pass if they have cleared, and allow them to wait in the lobby. Buzz the individual who they are going to visit and have that individual come to the lobby area so that they can walk with that individual who they are going to visit with. That is the best practice to adhere to. Let's continue with classroom doors. All classroom doors within the school building or in portables must be locked. The slide magnet must be in place to allow anyone in the classroom to quickly lock and secure the classroom. Teachers, prepare your students. Talk to them about the importance of that magnet being in place. Should the teacher or the adult not be in there and a lockdown is called, students know what to do as well. Right? And I'm happy to report that all portable classrooms have had peepholes installed during this past summertime. In addition, campus staff will ensure that all classroom doors are locked and magnet strips are in place on a daily basis. This could be a CERT team member. If you can just walk down your hall as you're walking to your classroom, if you are at the end of the hall, check that every door is locked prior to the start of the school day. We continue with access control exterior doors. All exterior doors must be closed and locked such that visitors can only enter the facility through the main entrance. No employee should use any type of object to prevent the door from locking at any time. Please, please, please do not put rocks, paper, the mat, anything to block and prevent the door from closing as it should. You should have your ID, your access card with you. And that is just simply not acceptable for anyone to do. Signage must be visible and placed on all exterior doors that are not in the main entrance. The signage states that the door shall not be open and that individuals must enter through the main entrance. Signage must also be placed inside of the exterior door, alerting a warning about not opening the door to anyone. Main entrance must have signage that states that all individuals, not students, entering the premises must present an ID. No ID, then no entry. And again, we go back to all employees have a responsibility to ensure that exterior doors are locked, and if there is something that is not happening, you shall report any door not closing properly to campus administration so that repairs and adjustments can be made in a timely manner. We will have daily and weekly door audits. They will be conducted by our campus staff members and our campus police officers and security guards. And work orders shall be submitted so that repairs and adjustments can be made in a timely manner. These are the forms that we expect every employee of our district to sign off on. So we continue with now student standards of safety. Campus administrators shall announce daily that no one in the building should ever open a door to anyone making attempts to come in, even if it is the principal knocking on that door. And teachers, how can you assist? You talk to your students. Do not open doors. Do not open doors to anyone. Do not open doors to outsiders. We will be having audits with regards to, and drills, mock scenarios with regards to this situation. It should also be communicated to students that they are not to prop any door with a foreign object. If you're going out to the football field, if you're going out to the tennis courts, do not prop any item on there. Stick with your coach, stick with the adult responsible for you all. They have access keys. And we will, again, continue to conduct informal drills to ensure that students are following their directives. So what can our parents do as well? And so many of our employees are parents. And we will continue to ask our parents the following. ID is required for entry. We report threats of suspicious activity. We use Raptor. And parents or any visitors, look behind you prior to walking into a school building. Our access controls are there, but just make sure that nobody follows you from behind as someone is leaving. And when you leave the area, the same holds true. And have situational awareness when you come into our school buildings. For our substitute teachers, they will be issued and required to wear the district ID badge. The same standards that hold true for any other employee will hold true for our substitute teachers. With regards to substitute teachers, they must ensure that their classroom door of the room they are assigned to is locked and that a magnet is in place every day. They shall have a key card issued to them because they may be outside in a portable, they may be taking the kids out to recess or PE, and so they will need that access cards. But what we are asking our substitute teachers is that they turn in their car key in exchange for the door access key card. At the end of the day, we collect the access key, they collect their car key. And we ask our substitute teachers to look for that red go bag in the classroom and familiarize yourself with the classroom layout. Let's talk about our security stations, standards of safety. Ensure that security personnel or the substitute who are manning the security vestibule is there at all times. So campus administrators will train multiple individuals to man the security stations, to run the Raptor systems, to ask the visitors prior to opening the doors, what is their business? Do you have your ID? Who are you here to visit? Monitor your security cameras in that area as well, all right? Our security camera standard of safety, our campus principals have been given the task to monitor and check that all cameras are in working order on a daily basis, and that they are to report all non-working cameras immediately. And we look at the partner share system. These are for teachers. It is a good idea to have a partner teacher in the event that somebody is absent. And it's not to take over the class in the event of an emergency. It is to advise the substitute teacher or anybody covered in the class of certain individuals, certain students in the class that may need assistance or so forth, or to orient them. Where's the red bag? Where do I go? Where do I evacuate? Here's my map. There's certain things that should be covered with those individuals when they are not present. One thing I would like to mention to all of our teachers with regards to 911 calls from our campuses is know the address. Know your site address. We are in the process of printing stickers to be placed on every pedestal of the phone, listing the phone number of our police department and the address of the campus. 911, what is your emergency? What is your location? So you would need to know, they will not necessarily know your room number, but at least the physical address of each campus. So those stickers are coming back to you, teachers, so that you'll know. In the meantime, have a sheet of paper, know your address. The intercom, the PA, and the all-call standards of practice. All campus staff are to be trained prior to the start of the school year on how to use and make an all-call with your classroom telephone. Let's work on this right now. Teachers, we ask that this code be kept confidential. Do not put the code on your phone because this will be allowed for any student to make an all-call in your system. This is a confidential in-house communication system for our employees. Exterior door standards of practice. Every exterior door, as noted in the map that I showed you on Navigate, is numbered. The number 1 starts at the main entrance, and then the number system goes clockwise. All doors should be closed and locked from the exterior at all times. The unattended use of door holders or stoppers is strictly prohibited. We're reviewing this again. And again, doors with faults or issues causing concern should be reported to the campus SSEO or on any of the following areas that you see here. Our webpage or our UISD, Keep UISD Safe. With regards to the interior doors facing the exterior should be numbered. Doors can be seen with numbers at the top of the door exit. Doors that are not numbered should be reported immediately to campus SCCOs. And why is this important? If we have outside law enforcement representatives who come into our school, they do not know our facilities. So we have numbered every interior door with a numbering or a lettering system so that they know where they are at, and when they are in communications with either our local law enforcement, our UISD police, or dispatch, we can hone in on cameras and we know exactly the area that they are located and which way they need to go in the event of any type of emergency. Again, this is our numbering system. Interior and exterior areas are numbered. We will be in the process of numbering our windows, placing stickers on those windows so that outside agents who are outside law enforcement, they know what window corresponds to which classroom as well. We talk about common and large gathering standards of practice. So what do we do if a threat occurs in a large gathering place, such as a cafeteria or during a passing period? Let's discuss this, as every campus is different. And let's also discuss, would it be beneficial to release one half of the hallway 2 minutes before the other half? Is it feasible? Does it make sense? Will your students get to their other class on time? Let's discuss. We'll discuss the run, hide, fight options later on in this presentation, as there is another video.
I'm Sergeant Sergio Garcia with the United ISD Police Department, and I'm here to guide you as to what to do in the event of an active shooter or a threat on your campus. The United Independent School District Police Department trains countless hours to be prepared for emergency situations like this one. Our #1 priority is to keep you safe. You must practice situational awareness and be empowered to best respond to an active threat or a shooter event. These events can happen at a moment in time where a lockdown may be delayed to call or even hard to hear, such in a cafeteria, hallway, or even outside. If you're not in a classroom or a lockable room to hide and cover, it is important to make an evaluation and practice situational awareness and empower yourself to do what is best in this situation. Run. Evacuate if possible. If there is a considerable distance between you, the gunfire, the armed person, or the threat, quickly distance yourself from the threat. If the gunfire or armed person is in your building and it is safe to do so, run. Run out of the building and move far away until you are secure in a place to hide. Leave your belongings behind. Keep hands visible to law enforcement if they are present. Take others with you, but do not stay behind, because others will not go. Call 911 when it's safe to do so. Do not assume that someone has already reported the incident. The information that you provide law enforcement may be critical. Number of shooters, physical descriptions and identifications, number and types of weapons, and location of the threat. If the shooter or threat is in close proximity and you cannot evacuate safely, hide in an area out of the armed person's view. Choose a hiding place with thicker walls and fewer windows. If possible, lock doors and barricade the furniture and turn off the lights. Silence phones and turn off other electronics. If you are in a restroom and danger is too close to avoid, hide as best as you can by standing on top of the toilet or commode. If you are outdoors and cannot run safely, find a place to hide that will provide protection from gunfire, such as a brick wall, large trash cans, cars, or a building. Remain in place until you are able to determine that an all clear has been made, or wait for law enforcement to tell you what to do. You may call 911. As a last resort, fight. Take action to disrupt or incapacitate the shooter. If you cannot evacuate or hide safely and only when your life is in imminent danger, take action. Attempt to incapacitate or disrupt the actions of the shooter. Use books, chairs, computers, anything within your reach. Act with physical aggression towards the shooter. Throw items at the shooter if possible. Call 911 when it's safe to do so immediately after the incident. Wait for local law enforcement officers to assist you out of the building. If inside, when law enforcement arrives, students and employees must display empty hands with open palms. Understand that gunfire may sound artificial. Assume that any popping sound is gunfire. Be mindful that violent attacks can involve any type of weapons, not just a gun, such as knives, blunt objects, physical force, or explosives can be just as deadly as a gun. The suggested actions provided here are applicable in any violent encounter. Plan ahead. Visualize possible escape routes, including physically accessible routes for students and staff with disabilities and others with limited mobility. When it comes to school safety and security, United ISD takes all situations seriously. Report any safety concerns to a parent, guardian, a trusted adult, campus administration, or United ISD Police Department. Remember, if you see something, say something. Everyone is reminded to avoid posting content on social media that may be considered threatening or that may be false. Reports of threats, bullying, or safety concerns can be made anonymously through the district website at www.uisd.net/keepuisdsafe or by calling Crime Stoppers 727-TIPS. School safety and security is part of United ISD's mission in providing a high-quality education. Remember to be aware of your surroundings. School safety is a shared responsibility, and it starts with you. For questions, comments, or concerns about your safety, contact your campus department's Site Safety Compliance Officer. Email safety@uisd.net or visit www.uisd.net/keepuisdsafe.
As already mentioned to you all, Parent Square is replacing School Messenger. On August 8th, UISD will be transitioning from School Messenger to Parent Square. This new service has presented the availability of one-to-one, group, urgent alert, and mass communication at all levels using call, text, email, and push notifications. As of August 8th, School Messenger will no longer be the district's communication service in the Emergency Operations Plan. Further information will be provided to everyone using Parent Square. I'd like to share with you some requirements by the state of Texas, Texas Education Agency, prior to the start of the school year cycle. Oh no, this is wrong. This is wrong. I said that wrong. Okay. That's not right.
Do you want to rest a little bit or you're solid?
I'm good. Let's just finish, Luis. Every district across the state of Texas is required to complete safety and security audits. We are now in the 2023 cycle of our audits, and these audits must be completed by June of 2023. So you'll see some individuals at your campus throughout the school year completing these safety audits. These audits are comprised of about 600 questions. Students and staff members must be present, and every aspect of safety is reviewed by the team assigned to your campus. We will complete these by June 2023 so that we can submit our findings to the state of Texas. In addition, the state is now requiring school safety action steps prior to the start of the school year. And I'd like to review those with you at this time. So we have conducted a summer targeted partial safety audit. We've trained our principals on July 26, and these audits must be completed prior to the first day of school. We conducted exterior door safety audits. These were completed with the assistance of our internal auditors, our campus police officers as well. And these reports have to be submitted to the state by September 9th. We did find some discrepancies in some of the areas, and we are addressing those as we speak through work orders through our facilities department. We also have to convene the District Safety and Security Committee meeting. We met on August 2nd, and there were certain items that had to be discussed with them. We reviewed our multi-hazard emergency operations plan, and we also looked at the component of the EOP that it must include an active threat plan. We also have to ensure that all campus staff, including our substitute teachers, are trained on the specific districts and campus safety procedures, and this is what we are doing today. All districts must also complete the following. We scheduled all mandatory drills for the 22-23 school year. We ensure that all threat assessment team members are trained, and that is going to be coming before you during this presentation. We review and, if necessary, update our access control procedures, and we have updated those procedures for the 22-23 school year. This is a letter from TEA. This is a report that we must submit to the agency. And we continue. This is a summer targeted partial safety audit. I talked to you about the safety audits. That has about 600 questions. The partial audit has 47 items that are reviewed at every campus level. Again, this has to be done prior to the start of the school year with our students. In addition to that, then we get a companion guide for summer targeted partial safety audits. And then we had already discussed the exterior door components. These have to be reviewed weekly. Reports have to be submitted weekly to our police officers, our police sergeants, who will be monitoring to ensure that every site officer is completing exterior door safety audits on a weekly basis. And again, we remind everyone that this is everyone's responsibility. If something you see, if something is not working, please report to your SSCO or advise us. We also cover our AEDs, our defibrillators in our campuses. We have checked that all of our batteries and all of our systems are working properly. We talk about mental health as well, and this is a major component. And so we have multiple sources to best assist with mental health of our students, staff, and parents. And so we look at our guidance and counseling department, our campus counselors, our feeder pattern licensed professional counselors, and our special education students. Families can request information from staff, licensed specialists in school psychology. And please, for any other information that you may need, visit us at uisd.net/mental health. And we look at the 988 number. The district is excited to promote the implementation of the National 988 service number. This lifeline provides 24/7 free and confidential support for people in distress, prevention, and crisis resources for you or your loved one, and best practices for professionals in the United States. And I cannot stress the importance. Staff members and teachers, go visit the Employee Access Center. If your phone number is not current, if any information of your personal information is not current, please update it on the Employee Access Center. Remember, we will be using Parent Square, not only for our parents, but we use this tool for emergency preparedness for any type of event. Parent Square can be utilized. And of course, your Navigate app. Your principals need to know if your phone number has changed so that they can have the right information to contact you in the event of a major emergency.
My name is Ricardo Rangel, Safety and Crisis Response Manager for United Independent School District. The next topic is human trafficking. Human trafficking is one of the most popular topics on the news today. You might have heard of it. For some, it might be new. The best way I can describe human trafficking in very simple terms is when a pimp tries to prey on vulnerable students. You might think that human trafficking is when people are migrating from one nation to the next. That could be the case, but in reality, human trafficking can encompass a lot of different scenarios. Just like when students are at their vulnerable states, individuals, adults, try to prey on them and take on their vulnerabilities to try to lure them in to do what they want. Human trafficking is one of the major issues that Texas faces right now, and our students are dealing with this at the moment. Bullying can be reported via various ways throughout the district. One of the most popular and anonymous ways is through our district website, www.uisd.net/keepuisdsafe. Bullying can be reported by adults, students, and anybody in the community anonymously or with your name. Please note that bullying reports get reported and sent to the district administration, and they will review those reports and take action immediately. The district has implemented a dedicated website so students, staff, and community members can visit on and read more about suicide. They can also get help through this website by visiting www.uisd.net/mental health. We encourage you to please take a look at this website for resources that are available to anybody in our community. Ethics violations. If you feel that someone is violating any type of procedure at your campus, in the district, in your community, you can report those ethics violations visiting our website located on our district website, www.uisd.net/keepuisdsafe. You can also report threats. Threats can be reported anonymously. A threat can be, for example, a bomb threat or a shooting. Threats will be taken seriously at all levels, but they can be reported anonymously or with your name, and they will be reviewed immediately by district administration and district police. The safety is also launching the Safety and Security Survey Reporting Tool. This tool can be used so that anybody in the community, staff, students, parents, can report any type of safety situation that they think should be reviewed. For example, if a door is left open, you can always take a picture of the door, send us a door number, and give us a description of why or how you found that door open. Maybe it doesn't close properly because the locking mechanism doesn't work. Send those reports to us. We encourage you to use the safety reporting tool, which is also an anonymous tool, but you can also send us your name and contact information. The district will receive this report and look at it immediately. Power and water outages are becoming more frequent within the city of Laredo. We do our very best to address them as best as we can. We work with our partners at the city to find solutions to either continue with school if, for example, a power or water outage happens in the middle of the day, or if a power or water outage happens before a school or after school, to address any logistical operational situations to let parents know if school is going on for the day or will be released early. Please note that our partnerships with the city are very strong, and we do communicate frequently regarding these situations. Remember that parents will receive a parent notification via our new notification system known as Parent Square. Parent Square will notify at all times during the day, depending when the situation happens, to let parents know of situations, as well as staff will be notified via Parent Square and formal email notification. Sometimes there may be some delay starts. Those delay starts have been pre-programmed within our district emergency operations plan, but we know that sometimes things can change. Essentially, we do have a generic delay start template, and this is what you're looking at right now. Take a look at it, screenshot it, save it on your phone. Just know that it's available, and it's something that we can refer to immediately if need be. The district has always had a work order system, but now the district has implemented a priority level work order system. This means that any work order that is a priority labeled as safety and security will be looked at and reviewed first before any other types of work orders. The district has dedicated personnel who review these work orders and determine their priority level and determine how they should be fixed and the dedicated timeline that it should be fixed on. Student IDs. Student IDs are new to our students this year, specifically for high schools. We're going to start off with student IDs for high school level students first, and then we will transition into the middle school students as well. Student IDs will be delivered to the campuses within the first 9 weeks of the start of the school year, and the student ID will be customized to the student based on whatever school they attend. At the same time, we will also be following dedicated bills and laws that require student IDs to have the special 988 suicide hotline. Student uniforms. On your screen, you see the link to student uniforms. When you have the chance, look at the student uniforms. Student uniforms are required for all elementary and middle school students. High schools do not require what we know as student uniforms, but there is a dress code that they should adhere to. Please review this information whenever you have the chance, or administrators, please take the time to do so right now. The next topic we'll be talking about is a school behavioral threat assessment program. You might have heard of this. This might be new to you. Please note that your administrators are aware of this program and have been enacting it throughout the past 3 years. The state has asked us to review the same program with all staff members at the school. I'm going to go over the program itself and what it entails. Then we'll go over how it is run at your campus at the district level. We'll go over some scenarios, and then we'll go over some standard practice. The School Behavioral Threat Assessment Program, in accordance with Texas Education Code 37115, a safe and supportive school program team must be established by the Board of Trustees to serve each campus within the school district. The number of SSSP teams and the number of campuses each team serves is a local decision based on the needs of and the resources available to each school district. The SSSP team is a multidisciplinary team composed of individuals with a broad range of expertise with the responsibility of implementing the district SSSP. As part of its operation, the SSSP team is tasked with conducting behavioral threat assessments and determining the best course of action to support an individual who made a threat and the victims of the threat. The purpose of the program, as part of the Safe and Supportive School program, is to document and provide model policies and procedures for public school districts and charter schools in establishing and training teams that conduct threat assessment in Texas. In its definitions, a safe and supportive school program team is a team that conducts behavioral threat assessments by assessing, reporting individuals who make threats of violence or exhibit harmful, threatening, or violent behavior, and who gathers and analyzes data to determine the level of risk and appropriate intervention the team serves as a safety net for the community and school by conducting a fact-based, systematic, and investigative approach to determining how likely a person is to carry out a threat of violence. 2, identifying, assessing, and managing appropriate interventions of individuals who are at risk for violence against themselves and others. 3, providing guidance to students and school employees on recognizing harmful, threatening, or violent behavior that may pose a threat to the community, school, or individual. When conducting this process with fidelity, it leads to a positive and safe school climate. This process is not intended to be punitive or adversarial. Rather, it is a way to build trust and situational awareness. Harmful, threatening, or violent behavior includes behaviors such as verbal threats, threats of self-harm, bullying, cyberbullying, fighting, the use or possession of weapon, sexual assaults, sexual harassment, dating violence, stalking, or assault by a student. The team essentially means a safe and supportive school program team established by the Board of Trustees of a school district. A threat is a concerning communication or behavior that indicates that an individual poses a danger to the safety of school staff or students through acts of violence or other behavior that would cause harm to self or others. The threat may be communicated behaviorally, orally, visually, in writing, electronically, or through any other means, and is considered a threat regardless of whether it is observed by or communicated directly to the target of the threat or observed by or communicated to a third party, and regardless of whether the target of the threat is aware of the threat. The Board of Trustees shall establish a safe and supportive school program team to serve at each campus of the district. That is, the superintendent of the district shall ensure, to the greatest extent possible, that the members appointed to each team have expertise in counseling, behavior management, mental health, and substance use, classroom instruction, special education, school administration, school safety and security, emergency management, and law enforcement. A team may serve more than one campus of a school district, and provided that each district campus is assigned a team. Each team must report required information regarding the team's activities to the Texas Education Agency. The superintendent of school of a school district may establish a committee or assign to an existing committee established by the district the duty to oversee the operations of teams established for the district. A committee with oversight responsibility must include members with expertise in human resources, education, special education, counseling, behavior management, school administration, mental health, and substance use, school safety and security, emergency management, and law enforcement. Team members shall work collaboratively with each other, with other school staff, and with community resources to support the purpose of the team and the safety of the school and its students and staff. All team members should be involved with assessment and intervention of individuals whose behavior pose a threat to the safety of school staff or students. Team members shall actively, lawfully, and ethically communicate with each other, with school administration, and with other school staff who need to know specific information to support the safety and well-being of the school, students, and staff. Each team shall conduct a threat assessment that includes, number 1, assessing and reporting individuals who make threats of violence or exhibit harmful, threatening, or violent behavior. 2, gather and analyzing the data to determine the level of risk and appropriate intervention, including referring a student for mental health assessment and implementing an escalation procedure, if applicable. Each team shall also provide guidance to students and school employees on recognizing harmful, threatening, and violent behavior that may pose a threat to the community, school, or individual. Support the district in implementing the district's multi-hazard emergency operations plan. Report immediately to the superintendent a team's determination that a student or other individual poses a serious risk of violence to self or others. 4, act in accordance with the district's suicide prevention program upon identifying a student at risk of suicide. Number 5, act in accordance with the district policies and procedures related to substance use prevention and intervention upon identifying a student using or possessing tobacco, drugs, or alcohol. As a reminder, a team may not provide mental health care service to a student who is under 18 without written consent from a parent or person standing in parent relation to the student. In order to build the program, there's 8 steps that need to be involved. Step 1, create and promote a safe school climate. Step 2, establish a multidisciplinary team. Step 3, define prohibited and concerning behaviors. Step 4, create a central reporting system. Step 5, determining threshold for law enforcement intervention. Step 6, establish threat assessment procedures. Step 7, develop risk management options. Step 8, conduct training for all stakeholders. When you receive a report about an individual of concern, screen for imminency and whether there is a need for full threat assessment. If a team believes that the report does present an imminent danger or safety concern, law enforcement should be notified immediately. Or, if the team does not believe that the report presents an imminent danger or safety concern, determine if there is a need for a full threat assessment. If not, document initial report and screening and add information to threat assessment database. If the student has a functional behavior assessment, behavior intervention plan or 504 plan, individualized education program, and or health plan, notify the school staff who manage the student's plans to see if there is a known baseline behavior. If not, continue with the process. Gather information about the person and situation from various sources, including an internet search. Organize and analyze the information using the 11 investigative questions detailed in the U.S. Secret Service, U.S. Department of Education Threat Assessment Guide. The idea of the threat assessment program is to stop the student from the pathway to violence. The pathway to violence is ideation, planning, preparation, and implementation. History tells us that incidents of targeted violence at K-12 schools are rarely sudden or impulsive acts. Prior to most incidents, other people know about the attacker's idea or plan. There is no accurate or useful profile of students who engage in targeted school violence. Most engage in some behavior prior to the incident that causes others concern or indicate need for help. Most attackers had difficulty coping with significant losses or personal failures, and many had considered suicide. Many attackers felt bullied, persecuted, or injured by others prior to their attack. In many cases, other students were involved in some capacity. Remember that the threat assessment is a fact-based, systematic process designed to identify, inquire, assess, and manage potentially dangerous or violent situations. A key goal is to distinguish between making a threat and posing a threat. Let's look at some examples. Remember, once again, that this system works by identifying persons of concerns, gathering information or investigate, assessing the person and the situation, and managing the person. The key example here is a direct and indirect threat. One of those threats, for example, is, I'm going to get you after school. That is a direct threat. An indirect threat is, I'm going to get him after school. Him and you are the key words here. When do we conduct a threat assessment? A threat assessment should be undertaken anytime a threat is reported to school authorities. A threat assessment is conducted when a person or persons threatens to commit a violent act or engages in behavior that appears to threaten an act of violence. There are 4 priority levels. Priority number 1 is the most imminent level, and action should be taken immediately. Priority 2 is high level. Priority 3 is moderate level, and priority 4 is minimal or no threat level. How do we do this? We need to analyze the information that is collected to systematically see if the threat is viable and if the student is on the pathway to violence. What are the themes? A while ago, I told you there was 11 themes to the threat assessment process. Those are 1, motive, 2, communications, 3, inappropriate interests, 4, planning, 5, capacity, 6, desperation, 7, protective factors, 8, violence, 9, consistency, 10, concerned others, 11, stressors. These are the themes that we look into to identify the severity of the threat. If there's more than one of these themes within a threat assessment case, then the threat level rises for each theme that is added for the student's case. Who conducts the threat assessments? Note that the information I just provided to you is just information that you should know based on the idea that this program does exist, and administrators are in charge in conducting these threat assessments. If you believe that your student should be part of a threat assessment because of something he or she said, did, wrote, or thought of, you should report that information to your administrator, counselor, nurse, librarian, so that they can begin a threat assessment case for the student. The people who are in charge of conducting threat assessment on your campus are, for sure, your principal, your assistant principal, your librarian, your nurse, your school police officer, and anybody else they believe should be part of a threat assessment team. Remember that a threat assessment team should be multidisciplinary, so it can be a custodian, a teacher, your coach, anybody who interacts with students on the daily basis and who can put input into that student's case. At the district level, there are 4 individuals who are automatically part of a team. That is your executive director for each grade level, so executive director for elementary, middle school, or high school, the executive director, if applicable, the special education, if there's a special education student, the deputy superintendent for school safety, the safety and crisis response manager, and the chief of police. The system we use to report and to keep track of these threats is Navigate Threat Assessment. Note that your administrator is the one in charge to make these cases input these cases into the system. You do not have to do this, but I remind you that if you think that your students should be investigated or reviewed more into their case regarding of what they said or didn't say, or thoughts, remember suicide is also part of threat assessment, you should speak to your administrators for further guidance. But do know that this program does exist. It is part of Texas Education Code Chapter 37115. After the assessment, students should be managed so that they successfully evolve through their career, essentially leading these students off the pathway to violence. In order to quickly show you this, I'm going to go through a presentation with special credit to the Cypress Fairbanks Independent School District. Take a moment to look at your screen. Read the description on your screen and choose one of the 3 students available, James, Ava, or Steve, and read the description. The next screen has a description for each student. If you chose James, read James. If you chose Ava, read Ava. If you chose Steve, read Steve. Take a minute to pause the video here so you can accurately read the description. Preparing for what you can, when you can. That is the pre-management for threat assessment. Violence prevention is always the first goal of the threat assessment, but it is also important to determine why a student made a threat and to address whatever conflict or problem motivated the threat, so the school can achieve its broader goal of helping students to be successful in school. There are 4 elements to pre-management. Remember, we're trying to lead students off the pathway to violence. Earlier, I showed you a 4-step system that where you notice ideation, planning, preparation, implementation. The students should have never been enacted in ideation. They should have been noticed by individuals at the campus and put at risk rather than before they start the ideation process. Observations suggesting need for intervention are feelings of abused, harassed, or bullied, but can also range for a lack of support at the family level. Take a minute to look at the slide and review the suggestions for intervention. Resource mapping is an idea that can help us properly manage a case. In resource mapping, we know that there's 5 levels to this: monitoring, logistics, mental health, discipline, and special considerations. We need to have those multidisciplinary teams, and note that your school does have one. We need to note that there is a threat assessment management steps, and note that your school and the district has implemented a plan for this. Let's pause the screen here and take a look at your students one more time. Read the description for that student. Short-term management, providing for the safety of the community in the hours after the assessment. Remember, resource mapping, monitoring, logistics, mental health. Those are the 3 steps that need to be completed so that the management of the students can be successful. Here we see the mild, moderate, elevated, critical priority levels. We are using a borrowed presentation, so this is for higher ed, but essentially it also correlates to our priority levels, which is level 1, 2, 3, and 4. Take a minute to look at these, but essentially they're the same thing. Take a minute to pause the video here and look at your students once again and read their description. Mid and long-term management, supporting positive change and engagement over time. Intervention focuses on 4 different areas. The team should focus on educational supports, student safety, campus support, care, and peer connections, behavioral, social, and emotional connections. When we look at educational supports, we're asking ourselves, what are the current concerns regarding the student's educational progress? There are some strategies and interventions. Take a minute to look at the screen and note what can be done now to help the students. When we look at student safety, we look at what are the supports needed to promote physical and emotional safety in a low-risk environment. Look at these strategies and interventions. Take a look at your screen to see what can be done now to help the student. Let's take a minute and look at your screen and pause so you can read your description for your student. We continue with campus and peer connections. What are the ways campuses can foster meaningful relationships with adults and peers? Look at the strategies and interventions. Pause your screen and look at what can be implemented now for the student. Behavioral, social, emotional. What are ways the campus can support the student's ability to understand and manage emotions, behaviors, and relationships? Look at the screen, strategies and interventions. Pause the screen now. Look at what can be enacted now to support the students. Let's look at the case examples. Let's put it all together. But before we do that, look at your student one more time, read their description. Essentially, this is a four-cornered process. So the case examples will look into the educational supports, the campus and peer connections, the student safety, and behavioral and mental emotional needs. When we look at James, James has an assessment of student safety, intervention, campus and peer connections, educational supports, and other. Take a moment, pause the screen. Administrators, this is where you explain those supports. Talk to your staff about what could have been enacted for James. Let's look at Ava. These are Ava's assessment results. This was what could have been enacted for her student safety, her campus and connections, her behavioral and social emotional supports, her educational supports, and there's no other. Administration, pause the video now and talk to your staff about what could have been enacted with Ava. Let's look at Steve. Steve's assessment and results. He had strategies for safety, campus intervention connections, behavioral, social, emotional supports, educational supports. Campus administration, pause the video now to look at what could have been enacted for Steve. Again, we give special credit to Cypress Fairbanks Independent School District for this presentation and their explanation of how to assess threat assessments after the assessment. Note, staff, that administration are aware that there is a dedicated United ISD Safe and Supportive Schools Program website. This website has access to our portal, help desk, administrative procedures, and Texas Education Code that they can refer to or send to you if you would like more information regarding Chapter Education Code 37.115 on Safe and Supportive Schools Program. The team who can oversee the team and who can oversee the case in a team? The principal is ultimately the one in charge, but the case manager is the person who first encounters the student. In other words, if you as a staff member go to the assistant principal and advise them of a case, then the assistant principal is the case manager because they are part of the team. What should not happen? What should not happen is a delegation of cases. In other words, an assistant principal who is the case manager cannot tell a counselor that they should overview the case because their workload is overloaded. That's not the case. If you are the initial case manager, you should take care of the case and you should see the case until the very end and to the closing of the case.
Okay, we're back. Hopefully you guys are still awake. We're almost done and we're gonna wrap this up already. So just wanna tell everybody that the Texas School Safety Center will be visiting our district on August 25th, and they'll be evaluating our behavior threat assessment procedures with district staff members. In addition, just other resources, we do partner with Laredo Crime Stoppers 727-TIPS for tips, anonymous tips for not only staff members, but also for our students. And we have a system to report other threats across our district. So we do have our iWatch system, and we also have an electronic tip form. All of this information can be found on our UISD website. With regards to the placement of master keys in our campuses, UISD years ago started with key safes at different sites of our schools. So every campus has a set of master keys that has a code known by our law enforcement officers. We have one per elementary, one per middle school, one per every 9th grade campuses, one per every high school, and one at Step Academy. We are purchasing additional key safes to hold our keys in the event that law enforcement agents must come in and open classroom doors with master keys. Our School Safety and Security Committee meeting is comprised of the following: one representative of the local police department, one representative of the Office of the Emergency Management of the district's county or city. We have representatives of the district's police force, the school board president, a school board member assigned by the board president, our superintendent, and one or more designees of the superintendent, including classroom teachers, district partners, and our parents. As mentioned, we did meet on August 2nd to review our emergency operations plan. The last subject to discuss with you all today is reunification. Reunification is a situation that occurs at the school that could require parents to pick up their students in a formalized control release. This process is called reunification and may be necessary due to weather, power outages, or a crisis occurs at a school. Sometimes it could be another campus that we will go to. For right now, we also utilize the Sames Arena for a major crisis event. Parents will be notified in a number of ways of reunification. We will use our Parent Square, text message, or a phone call message to our parents. Or students may be asked to send a message to their parents. Parents are asked to bring an ID to the reunification site. Remember, we have to ensure that it is the right individual that we are releasing the child to. So IDs will be required at a reunification site. And so how does reunification work? For students, the school asks that students be orderly and quiet while waiting. Students may be asked to send a text message to their parents or guardians. Students are also asked not to send any other messages in or out of the school or reunification area. And this is not for reasons of secrecy or anything else. It is so that our networks are not slowed down. Keeping the cellular network usage at a minimum may be important during a reunification. Staff employees working the reunification site will be wearing the badge buddy, such as this one. And we will have barcodes on here so that they will have all of the information with regards to our processes for reunification. Our reunification site is extensive. We do have teachers, you need to know that in the event of a situation, and we do have to move to the arena for reunification, everything has been coordinated in this matter. High school, you will see that the content, the students will be sitting in the area of content of their class, of the situation. If it happens second period, then that is a period that will be utilized to sit the students down in these particular areas of the arena. We ask that the teachers sit with their students. We will have different district staff members who will be going up and down the stairs with radios and so forth, calling students once the parents arrive at the sites. Elementary students, you have the areas down here. The number in parentheses shows the number of seats available, and then we have the content area, specific areas where our students will be seated if there is a need for the arena to be used as a reunification site. For future projects and considerations, the district will continue to apply for grant opportunities. I am happy to announce that every elementary campus will be receiving one standalone metal detector to be placed at the front entrance. We should be receiving these prior to September 1st. We are making arrangements for electrical services to be provided, so we are working on those initiatives. We will continue to work on initiatives across the district to ensure the safety and security of everyone in our facilities. I thank you for taking the time to review this video with us. For your questions, please send in your comments or concerns to us at UISD. Keep UISD safe. We wish you a wonderful school year and most importantly, a safe one.